Emily Thornberry snubbed by Keir Starmer, with former Shadow Attorney General saying she is shocked and disappointed after being passed over for a Labour government job. A senior member of Keir Starmer's shadow cabinet voiced her shock and disappointment today after being snubbed for a government role. Emily Thornberry, who was Shadow Attorney General until the election, said she had not been given a job by the party leader as he stepped out his first administration. Sir Keir made high-profile human rights barrister Richard Hermer his Attorney General on Friday, one in a series of technocratic appointments. But over the weekend and into Monday, as more junior roles were dished out, there was no room there either for the Islington South and Finsbury MP, who was Shadow Foreign Secretary under Jeremy Corbyn. Ms. Thornberry's career has been overshadowed by a number of high-profile gaffes, including sneering at a House for proudly flying the England flag. And during the election campaign, she was slapped down by a shadow cabinet colleague for saying that it was fine if the manifesto pledged to make private schools pay VAT increase the size of state school classes. In a statement on X, Thornberry pointed out she had been in the shadow cabinet for more than 8 years, adding, "I am very sorry and surprised not to be able to continue that work in government, but I wish all my brilliant colleagues well, and I know that Richard Hermer KC, a much more accomplished lawyer than I could ever hope to be, will do an outstanding job as Attorney General." Nothing in the personal disappointment I feel can detract from the amazing and historic victory that all of us in the labor movement worked together to win last week, and the chance we now have to change the country for the better. It is understood that Ms. Thornberry could still be offered a role by Sir Keir that sits outside the government. Ms. Hermer, who was called to the bar in 1993 and appointed Queen's Counsel 16 years later, is arguably one of the most surprising appointments to Sir Keir's cabinet. It was thought the now Prime Minister would appoint Ms. Thornberry, but she was brutally brushed aside in favor of Ms. Hermer, who has been given a peerage to take on the role. Ms. Hermer is a Deputy High Court judge assigned to the King's Bench Division and Administrative Court and has previously shown his support for the rights of Palestinian people as a human rights lawyer. Last year, he was one of a number of signatories of a letter written to the then Foreign Secretary James Cleverly, which stated the Israeli government is led by a coalition of far-right parties whose common goal is the formal annexation of the West Bank and the extension of a one-state reality of unequal rights over more than 5 million Palestinians under occupation. Labour's historic landslide election victory has left a Tory bloodbath in its wake, as several notable figures from the previous cabinet failed to win over the electorate. And as the new cabinet make their way to Downing Street with many shadow ministers being promoted, certain cabinet decisions have left eyebrows raised. James Timpson, chief executive of his father's Timpson shoe repair chain business, was made the new Minister for Prisons, Parole and Probation during the new Prime Minister's appointments shortly after 3 p.m. today. Another recognizable face joining the ranks of Starmer's new roster is Sir Patrick Vallance, who acted as a chief scientific advisor during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now serving as the Minister of State of Science, the 64-year-old was nicknamed Dr. Doom during the pandemic for being the face of SAGE's bleak projections. Although Ms. Timpson OB's newly earned position was surprising, he is well renowned for his work advocating for ex-convicts and passion for business. Chair of the Employers Forum for Reducing Reoffending, EFR. Until 2016, the Timpson's boss has been applauded for his schemes rehabilitating offenders. That same year, he became chair of the Prison Reform Trust, establishing an employment advisory board network throughout the country to help improve job opportunities for prison leavers. For his very active work in getting disadvantaged people in employment and training, the new cabinet member was awarded an OBE in 2011. Namely, the retailer's CEO employed ex-prisoners in branches of his family's business in a bid to rehabilitate them. According to the Mirror, the UK business has now hired 600 ex-criminals throughout the UK. He told the publication in 2019, "If you employ an ex-offender, someone long-term unemployed, a veteran, a care leaver, or someone who is disabled, the employer should not pay national insurance for the first 12 months. Sir Keir is also said to be looking to bring former Blairites back into the fold as he seeks to shore up relations with the US and drive forward reform of the NHS, sources said.